Regarding offshore investments, Brazil is still behind countries like Colombia and Mexico, but that can change with the new trends on the hedge funds industry. I am Mitchell Diniz, and this is São Paulo Direct by Dukascopy TV. And I'm here with John D'Agostino, the man in charge of DMS in North and South America. Welcome to Brazil, John. What's trending on the hedge fund industry nowadays?
Sure. Well, I think because of increasing U.S. regulations that limit the activity of banks, particularly in the lending space, we've seen the emergence of what's called alternative financing, which are different sources of lending, which includes hedge and private equity funds. That type of activity, again, which broadly we can call alternative finance, has been very attractive to investors in recent years, and so I'd say that's a trending strategy for funds. I'd say the other trend we're seeing with funds is what we would call the retailization of the hedge fund space. And that isn't that funds are selling to retail investors. It means that they're broadening the universe of what we call in the US accredited or qualified purchasers and trying to build a broader investor base, both in the US, Latin America, and Europe. Finally, I'd say governance and regulatory oversight is a major trend. Hedge funds, private equity funds, real estate funds, all private funds are under increasing scrutiny from global regulators, and they have to respond by putting in place proper governance.
What do hedge fund investors think about Brazil?
So I think anytime you go through a period of rapid expansion and rapid contraction, everybody wants to take a step back to just make sure that they fully understand the risks. During the period of expansion, it's human nature to underestimate the risks. So the period of contraction reveals those risks. So I think Brazil still offers something very unique in Latin America, which is scale, which is rule of law, which is historically a pro-foreign investment attitude. So that hasn't changed. Nothing's changed. So all you have now is, because of currency rates and also asset devaluation, you have a cheaper environment. That's generally a good thing, cheaper environment. So I think we're going to see a period of examination where investors sort of lick their wounds, if you will, the ones who got caught in the contraction, make sure they fully understand the environment. But I don't think any sophisticated investor is written off Brazil. I mean, they're looking at it, making sure they understand the risks, and looking for the right time to reinvest.
Regarding the offshore investments, Brazil is still behind countries like Colombia and Mexico. Why is that? And is that supposed to change now?
Well, the strict reason would be because of your regulatory environment that limits the amount of capital that can be invested offshore. But the underlying reason for that is Brazil ultimately is a victim of its own success. For a long period of time, you underwent a period of rapid economic expansion. The stock market was behaving extremely well. Interest rates were strong. So there was, quite frankly, little motivation for institutional investors to put pressure on the government to change those rules. Those rules existed in most Latin American countries. You just saw less opportunity in other countries that forced governments to be responsive to their investors' needs for broad diversification. So Brazil is behind only in the sense of the investment opportunities were so good for so long, it's catching up on that need to diversify outside of Brazil.
So that can change with the new situation the country is facing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, look, diversification is always a good principle. When you're going through expansion and people are generating lots of wealth, they're motivated to diversify to protect it. When you go through a contraction and people realize the risk of overconcentration, they're motivated to diversify to protect against that happening again. So I just think it's a cycle. Brazil just has gone through a very dramatic cycle. It will respond. I'm sure it will respond. And I think already you're seeing a loosening restrictions that allow for broader diversification.
Mitchell Diniz to São Paulo Direct by Dukascopy TV.